Welcome back, and as y'all know, if you've watched Spurs Up for the past couple seasons, Bumaka and I never run out of things to talk about. So we've got another segment here with Alex English talking about his NBA career as a player, as a coach, and then life after the NBA. So first off, Mr. English, you were with the Nuggets for the majority of your career, 8-time NBA All-Star, scoring champion at 82. The success that you were able to build in the NBA, how did you keep yourself grounded as a human and as a player at that age?
Well, I enjoyed playing. As far as succeeding on the floor, I would work hard at my craft. I spent a lot of time during the off season working on my game, but I didn't just limit my life to playing basketball. I did other things as well. I did a lot of traveling, did a lot of writing, but I said, if I'm going to be good at my craft, I need to prepare myself. So I put a lot of work into workouts.
Averaging over 20-plus points per game, and throughout your career, you are a certified bucket getter. You know how to get the buckets. Now, I want to know, what was it like getting to Denver? Because you were drafted by the Bucks, and then you played a little bit for the Celtics, and your career really didn't take off until you got to Denver. What was it about Denver that made you so successful?
Okay, what I'm going to do is correct you first. I never played for the Celtics, only in the movie.
Yeah. Oh.
I played in a movie called Amazing Grace and Chuck, and I played a Boston Celtic in the movie.
Okay.
But I started in Milwaukee, played there for 2 years, became a free agent, went to Indiana, played for Indiana for a year and a half before Donnie Walsh, who was my coach, one of the coaches I had here at college and university, traded for me and brought me from Indiana to Denver.
Gotcha.
And then my career took off even more after that because, I felt comfortable. I was with someone that I knew. And the style of play that we played in Denver was a very free-flowing offense under Doug Moe. And I played well in that type of system.
Talking about your career, as we have been said, you said eight-time NBA All-Star.
Right.
Talk about the experience of getting to go to an All-Star game, playing with such great players that you were able to play on the same team with and against.
It was an honor for me every year because I got to play during the era that I played, the 80s and 90s. I think they had the most Hall of Famers and the best players to play the game during that period of time. So every night I was playing against one of the Hall of Famer. If it wasn't Larry Bird, it was Dominique Wilkins or Michael Jordan or James Worthy. It was so many, and I loved it. Every night I got to go out and play against them, but they had to play against me as well. So it was like a chess match that you were a part. You were a live piece in a chess match, and I enjoyed that part of the game. And especially playing against great players. I would sit on the bench sometimes, and I would just watch, just couldn't believe that I'm in this spot and I'm getting to watch the game from the bench.
So the novelty never wore off?
Never wore off.
Now, who's the hardest player you had to guard, if you had to pick one?
Like I said, every night it was a tough one. It was James Worthy, it was Dr. J, it was Michael Jordan or Larry Bird. And they all had a different kind of game, so I had to, every night it was something different. So I couldn't just pick any one player. I think one of the toughest guys was Michael Jordan, and I didn't guard him much, but he was one of the toughest. The guy that was the toughest for me playing defense on me was probably Dennis Rodman.
Really?
Yeah.
The 80s definitely was a golden age for basketball.
Yes.
And it was tougher to score back then. And you still somehow found a way to score over 20 points a night. What do you think the game has changed to the spacing on the floor nowadays? And do you think it's easier to score in today's game?
It's getting back to the era that I played. When I played, it was more of a fast-paced game. And when you're playing fast, you're able to get up more shots. You're able to get more open shots. For a period there was like a big focus on just tightening up on the defense.
Half court, pick and roll style.
Half court, slow, walk the ball up the floor. There's no fun in that. So the NBA said, let's make the game fun again. Golden State Warriors started playing that way, and now you see everybody trying to emulate, mimic the Golden State Warriors. But we played that way every night for 10 years.
What is your stance on trying to build these kind of super teams that they've done in the NBA now, where you have to have 2 or 3, A to B list players to be successful in the NBA?
Well, they're building. You say it's a super team, but it used to be that way before the NBA got larger and started diluting the talent on the teams. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, they were all on the same team. Every
Dumars,
team,
Isaiah
Joe
Thomas,
Dumars,
Bill
Isaiah
Laimbeer.
Thomas, those guys were all on the same team. It's only now that people have seen that dilution that they're saying, oh, they're building these super teams. But every night, I mean, every night that I played, each team had 3 or 4 guys that could give you 20 and more points. So they're just getting back to the way it used to be.
Okay.
And how much of a pleasure is it to see that the game is going back to?
I love it. I love it. I love the free-flowing game. It's more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Guys are more creative. The players are more expressive. You see some of the stuff that they do, and I think that's why the NBA itself is, people love watching the NBA nowadays because it's so, and the parity is there now. I was looking at, some of the teams and saying, oh, this team's going to be great. But then I saw some of the teams that used to be on the bottom, they have moved up to the top.
Well,
So it's more competitive now. It's a lot more fun. You can't just say, well, Boston is playing Brooklyn tonight, so Boston's going to take that game, but Brooklyn may beat them.
you never know. Yeah.
You never know.
Why do you think the college game hasn't really spread out like that? It's still pretty slow paced, and it's definitely more nitty gritty.
I think that's just the way college coaches are. You've got more time to prepare for a game. You say, oh, okay, we got a week to prepare for North Carolina. Let's do this, let's do that. They practice it, they go over it. With the NBA, you've got to be able to go from
Got 5 games in a week.
Boston one night to LA the next night, and they're all different.
Yep.
So you have to have a game that's suitable for the NBA.
You talked about how in the 80s and 90s, you think that era, it brought about the most Hall of Famers, All-Stars all around, and even yourself, you were inducted to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame in '97. Talk about that experience and how much of a dream that was, and how much of an accomplishment that was for yourself.
It was a major accomplishment, and I was in a dream when I was told that we've selected you as a Hall of Fame inductee in 1997, and once I got there and saw all the people that are actually in the Hall of Fame, it was even more of like a dream. But having my family there, have my son be there with me, have Julius Erving introduce me into the Hall of Fame, it was a dream for me, and I enjoy being a Hall of Famer now.
That's awesome. Now you also coached in the NBA level for some time. What was your experience like coaching at the NBA level?
Coaching it takes a different mindset because you have to be able to coach players and train players to do the things that you want them to do on the floor. So it's a different mindset, but at the same time you're able to do it because you've done it. I enjoyed coaching. I wish that I had gotten the opportunity to be a head coach because I would love to have implemented the Denver Nugget style of play, which Golden State is close, but we still played in the highest scoring game ever, 184, 186. So nobody's been able to duplicate that.
Now, do you help Coach Frank Martin and his staff at all with the men's basketball team currently?
Not really. Frank does a great job. I just I go watch. I get a chance to do some SEC satellite games every now and then. So it's a lot of fun for me. I like Coach Martin. He's done a great job here. He got us to the Final Four one year, and right this year I think he's got some very talented young
Players,
freshmen and players that are gonna just, if they stay, we've got an opportunity to get there.
Got to stay the course, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we have today. Again, Mr. English, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure getting to talk to you and hear your story.
My pleasure.
And again, until next time, South Carolina, Spurs up.
Spurs up.